Welcome to the Marshfield Zoning Board of Appeals, Tuesday, March 11th, 2025 meeting. This is a hybrid meeting. If you are dialing in on a phone, please use *6 to mute and unmute yourself. We are being recorded by MCTV, and everyone's here, right? I don't have to do a roll call.
Except for Jean.
Yeah, but she's not online, so we don't have to do a roll call. All right, we're going to start with 2513 Jesse Snell. Come on up. The petitioner is seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-1012 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to raise the existing structure and construct a new 26-foot by 50-foot and 2.5-story dwelling on the property located at 107 Standish Street, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel K120221 and is located in the R3 zoning district. Name and address for the record.
I'm sorry?
Name and address for the record.
Jesse Snell, 107 Sanders Street.
All right, go ahead.
So basically what we're looking to do is just build a single-family residence and be full-time residents of Marshfield. Currently we reside in Quincy, my wife and I and our two young children. And we've had this property now for probably about 5 years. And we've been coming here, April to October for the past 5 years, and it's a great neighborhood and we want to be a part of it.
Okay. Andrew, do you have anything to add other than your notes?
No, nothing more than my notes. You can see here, the side, the existing building's 8.7. They're gonna make that 12 feet on the side. Same with the other side, it's currently 8.7, they're gonna make it 12. The front of the house is currently 14.8. They're actually gonna increase that to 15, but then have this bay window project out. So they're actually going to be, that should be all conforming, but it's not going to be any more non-conforming than what was already there. That's all part allowed. And obviously the back's going to conform as well, where it's 32.8. So it's still going to be non-conforming, but it's going to be less non-conforming in relation to the existing side setbacks.
Awesome, thank you. Anything from the board?
I'm good, very straightforward.
Anyone from the audience want to speak on this? Seeing that there is not, I'm going to move that we close.
The shed, is that, Bob said something about the shed.
We won't endorse the shed.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's something in the notes about building height too, just make sure your building height's underneath the, whatever the standard is.
Okay.
It's going to move that we close 2513 Jesse Snell, 107 Standish Street. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Robert Hemsley, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
I'm now going to make a motion. I move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for a special permit, subject to the conditions. If approved, this project will require a demolition permit, a building permit, a final as-built, and a certificate of occupancy. And we're not endorsing the shed. I take it, Heidi, right?
Yes.
Did you have anything, Grover? Oh, building height.
Yeah, just the height, just to make
Do you know
sure.
when
You
the
don't want to get
shed,
jammed up
do you know
later.
when the shed was built?
No, I do not.
You said you've owned it for 3 years, the property for 3 years?
I've had it for 5. My
5.
wife and I, yes, sir.
It was before you.
I'm sorry?
The shed was before you.
Yes.
So we're not endorsing it. Subject to the conditions I just said, based on the finding that the applicant's proposal to raise the existing structure and construct a 26-foot by 50-foot, 2.5-story dwelling on the property located at 107 Standish Street as shown on a certified location plan dated January 31st, 2025 by Stembeck and Taylor Incorporated, Richard Savant, PLS, and in the architectural design plans dated February 5th, 2025 by 209 Design. 4 pages, meets the special permit criteria of the section 1012 of the bylaw. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Robert Hensley, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye.
Mike Brothers, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There else.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
home.
I'm gonna appreciate it.
Yeah, welcome home.
All right, just do the-
Now we have 2514, James and Rachel Leach. The petitioners are seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-1012 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to construct a 28-foot by 32.3 foot one-story addition on the left side of the property located at 20 Grotto Road, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel J080521 is located in the R2 zoning district. Go ahead, name and address for the record.
I'm Dick Rockwood, 92 Grandview Ave, Marshfield. I'm Rockwood Design, did the architectural work for the Leach family. And we are, we're non-conforming in the front on the main house, but our addition will be conforming.
You're
And we'll meet all the
stepping
other
it back, looks like about 3.5 feet, give or take?
Yes. The outline is the setback building envelope, so.
Dick, apropos of nothing, your Summer Street addition that you represented those applicants, just a beautiful, beautiful job. I drive by it every day, and like, that's just,
Oh, on the corner there?
yeah, that
thank you.
antique, just beautiful.
It was an old post and beam, and it was, you can go like this to the beams on the upstairs when they bought it.
Nice and solid. That's the
Yeah,
way you want it.
it looks great. It really does.
Thank you.
Structural integrity.
Appreciate that.
So do we have any other questions?
Just confirmation of the actual square footage of the addition? Was it 898,
I think
something
it's
like
right
that?
there.
It's under
889 if I can see it.
What is it?
898.
898.
899.9. Any questions from the board?
Nope.
Ready?
Oh, so it's the second ADU?
It is
Is
an
this going to be you?
Yeah.
And we're doing a special permit?
No, this is, you have right stuff now, after February 1st.
It says a special permit.
It's not a special permit unless you're over 900 square feet.
Okay. Isn't that what it says, though?
It's $899.
No, you
Didn't they
said
apply for a
standard.
special permit?
Yeah, because I think they put it in.
I'm just saying they applied for a special permit, so that's what I'm saying.
So the special permit is because it's
It's a
on
non-conforming house.
Yeah.
a non-conforming house.
The alteration and extension of a non-conforming structure, that's the only reason they're before you for a special permit. As far as the use of this area being used as an ADU, that's completely up to me and the building permit process. And I've already ruled that this, what they have done meets all the state requirements, and they're going to be able to have an ADU just with a building permit. What they're looking for is the alteration and extension of an existing non-conforming structure.
Thank you, Andrew. So anything else from the audience here? Nothing? Seeing that there's none, I'm going to move that we close 2514 James and Rachel Leach, 20 Grotto Road. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Robert Hensley, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye.
Mike Brothers, aye.
So I'm going to move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for a special permit, subject to the conditions. If approved, this project will require an ADU building permit, a final as-built, and a certificate of occupancy.
Brian, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Since you guys are just doing the special permit for the addition,
Yeah, that's all we're doing it
does the
for.
ADU need to be,
No, the ADU is of right.
addition?
Nope.
Okay, so I'm not gonna put that in.
Yeah, it's not a condition of the approval or that's a matter
Yeah, so
of
I'm
rights.
just not gonna include it.
It's just me.
It's on the comment.
Right.
New to all of us.
So, subject to the conditions that I just said, based on the finding that the applicant's proposal to construct a 28-foot by 32-foot 3 one-story addition in-law apartment on the left side of the property located at 20 Grotto Road, as shown on the permit plans dated February 5th, 2025 by Rockwood Design Incorporated, 13 pages, and on the certified location plan on November 13th, 2024 by Grady Consulting, LLC, meets the special criteria, section 1012 of the bylaw. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensley, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye.
Mike Brothers, aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
Thanks,
all.
Dick.
All right, now we have Celebrity Realty LLC. Petitioner is seeking a variance in accordance with 305-1011 of the Marshfield Municipal Code for relief from 305-1301 to allow the use of a private on-site well instead of public water system on the property located off Main Street, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcels D18021, D18022, and is located in the R1 zoning district and the Inland Wetlands District. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you. For the record, Gregory Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering, representing the applicant, Celebrity Realty LLC. As was just read into the record, we're here seeking a variance in accordance with section 13.01 F1 of the bylaw, which is in regards to development of lots within the Inland Wetlands District. The requirement of that section is that the lots be serviced by a public water system. At this site, the applicant is proposing use of on-site wells for 9 of the 10 lots proposed. This is a proposed 10-lot subdivision. I'd like to add that the Conservation Commission and the Board of Health have previously approved this project, including unanimous approval of the use of wells at the property. By way of background, the property is 18 acres in size. It's previously undeveloped. It's located in the R1 zoning district. I've depicted the subdivision on the plans submitted. Highlighted in pink is the limits of the Inland Wetlands District. All of the homes, the wells, and septic systems are shown on the plans. The plans have been peer-reviewed by Pat Brennan for the Planning Board as well as the Zoning Board previously. In review of variances, there's a 3-pronged test in review of variance. One, you have to prove that the lot is unique with respect to shape, soil, or topography, generally not affecting the zoning district which the lot is in. Secondly, that literal enforcement of the bylaw provision would involve substantial hardship, financial or otherwise. And lastly, that relief may be granted without substantial detriment or nullifying the bylaw. With respect to the first prong of the test, we feel that the property is unique for several factors. One, the soils out here and the limits of the Inland Wetlands District at the site. The Inland Wetlands District is depicted by soil that is classified by the USDA as being poorly drained or very poorly drained. Yet, we've been out to the site with the Board of Health. We've conducted perk tests throughout the entire site that were witnessed and have all passed suitable for construction of homes, suitable for construction of septic systems. We did not find the poorly drained soils as outlined on the USDA maps. Secondly, the lot is unique with respect to the limits of the district itself. The limits of your Inland Wetlands Protection District generally should follow the limit of your wetlands or a contour at a floodplain elevation at a site. That is not the case here. You'll see that the district pops up at the back of the site and along the southern portion of the site in areas that are clearly upland soils and upland forest. The site has been walked by the Conservation Commission. It has also been walked by the DEP, confirming those upland areas of the site. Thirdly, we feel that the lot is unique with respect to its shape. And with respect to the shape, we can talk about the location of the lot and how that shape fits into the district itself. When I look at the town's water distribution plan, which is on the board here, the area that's highlighted in yellow essentially is the entirety of the R1 zoning district in the town. What's unique here is that all of the lots within the R1 district, or the majority of the lots within the R1 district, have frontage on a road or a major road that has municipal water supply within it. The exception would be this lot. The exception, our lot here is highlighted in red. You'll see that there's no town water main between Highland Street and Old Main Street Extension, where this project is proposed. All of the other roads within the district that provide frontage to land have a water main on them.
Greg, how about coming in the back door?
Sure. Our property is surrounded essentially by conservation land. Our abutter we abut a single-family residence here that is connected to town water across the street through an across-country connection over to Old Main Street.
Why can't you just tap into them?
It's only a 1-inch service to that house. It's cross-country.
Well,
It's
everyone
not
gets an
within
upgrade
easement.
then. What do you need, 6 inches?
You'd need a minimum of an 8-inch line to provide service to this.
So how far would that 8-inch line have to go from your driveway to the neighbors and then across the street?
We don't have rights in the easement
Well, not
across the
yet.
street.
But money
What
solves
was
all
the-
problems, Greg.
What was suggested by the water department was running up Route 3A to the intersection of Highland Street.
Well, yeah, but you're the one writing the checks.
Yep.
There's got to be a cheaper way to skin the cat, right?
Not that we have found at this point. What we've found is that the best alternative, and what all of the soils testing at the site is showing us, is that wells are perfectly situated on a site like this.
Yeah, but what if you don't get your variance?
We don't get the variance, we would have to pursue these other options.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Absolutely.
asking you, because I'm not
Yeah.
persuaded that you meet the standard, personally.
Okay.
I'm consistently opposed to the granting of variances, in case you have not watched a lot of Marshfield's ZBA meetings. Money solves all problems. I'm confident that you can find another way, short of a 2,300-foot, 8-inch main, to get water to your site, and short of a variance. That's my opinion. And again, I don't know, I know, obviously, I drive the area pretty regularly. I don't know how far it is to get out to, would it be Old Main Street?
Yeah.
Old Main Street.
Old Main Street.
How far is that?
2,300 feet, it's got hit.
It's
Well, no, if you go through the neighbor's yards.
going through the yards, there's a wetland out behind those houses. You'd have to go through a wetland and cross that to get to that Old Main Street line, which according to the town maps, that line itself is an old line and would potentially need to be upgraded up to the Marshfield Hills area. So that would come at cost, doing that as well.
My question was, I've always thought about this, is I could see where you could use wells on most of those lots you have defined. We're talking about the lot on the road, on the main street, and that first lot that actually intersects with the inland water district, wetland district, sorry. Right?
Yes.
So is there a way to split it and serve those two with town water and wells with the others?
So my belief on this was that 9 of the 10 lots are outside of the district, and this wouldn't apply. I believe town council at the last meeting.
We're only talking about that one lot.
That was my intent. At
Okay.
the last meeting, I believe town council's opinion was that it applied to the entire property, to all of the lots, regardless of whether they were in the district or not.
Okay.
So they were all proposed, with the exception of the one that's out on 3A. That would tie into municipal water on 3A, but the ones out back, 9 of the 10
How would
would be-
how would it tie in and not ones that are less than 100 feet away?
So there's an old 6-inch hydrant in front of the frontage of this property that can provide suitable water pressure for one single-family home. It cannot provide suitable pressure for extension of that water main.
Greg, can you put a booster pump in?
No, because the crunch point is getting water to that location. So while you may have a booster pump provide pressure from here to the back part of that subdivision, it's running out of accepting water at that point.
Where does the 6-inch line, how is that hydrant fit?
That goes cross-country, across the street, behind the houses, and over to the old Main Street.
Is that a 6-inch line all the way?
I believe so.
Now, Heidi had brought up a good point also about fire hydrants. How would you get fire hydrants back?
Sure. So the standard in the building code is that you have compliance with NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association. What we've proposed is that all of these houses be fully sprinklered. They have a water cistern in the attic space so that they're fully sprinklered houses in the event of a fire. And that complies with all building code requirements.
It's gotta be cheaper to bring in a 6-inch main rather than sprinkle, what, 12 houses?
8-inch, and it's coming from quite a distance, right?
It's coming from quite a distance.
2,300 feet is up Highland Street, correct? Up 3A to Highland Street?
To get-
Is that what you got there?
To get to Highland Street,
Yeah.
So
correct.
the distance of that other 6-inch line, so it dead ends at the fire hydrant?
It dead ends at the fire hydrant.
And that 6-inch line is not adequate even with a booster pump?
That's what we're told.
Have you done any testing?
We haven't opened that hydrant itself, but we were told we couldn't use it for extension of this water main, that there's inadequate pressure.
Do you know how long the run is to the dead end from the other side?
I could scale it off the plan off the top of my head. I don't. I would say it's probably 1,000 to 1,500 feet.
So you're only
Thereabouts.
allowed, you're allowed 600 to 800 feet, 800 max, right, to a dead end. So you couldn't go, well, I guess you'd be extending beyond that, but that would become a dead end without a loop.
Yeah, it's already a dead-end main.
Right.
And yes, there's nothing to extend it out to. We're surrounded by conservation land, essentially.
So I have a couple questions. So Paul Duros from the Water Department said you should be hooking up to town water, right?
Yes.
What is your,
So we would hook up to town water if we thought that it was readily available, if it was financially available. Unfortunately, given the length that it is away, it's not financially feasible to do that. With the wells, you can get the same water quality, you get better water pressure, and you meet all of the safety standards that the fire department would be requiring with a fully sprinklered house in the building code.
so even with that said, Mr. Corbo from the fire department had said that he wasn't comfortable with that, basically, right?
Unfortunately, I just saw his comment this afternoon at about 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I
Neither
don't know if
did I.
he saw that it called out that the houses were fully sprinklered. I don't know if he was aware of that fact or not.
Nancy, do you know if Tommy Corbo was aware of that, or?
I give him
So,
I sent him everything, so.
So basically, there's no hydrants planned on that street.
No
The
hydrants on the
first, the
street.
closest hydrant is basically at the intersection of that 3A.
Correct.
What's the distance of that street to the circle?
1,400.
So I know Marshfield carries 1,200 feet of feeder hose, so that would be like a relay pump scenario coming off of a 6-inch line. It's a stretch. But the houses are sprinkled, like you said, but that's not always that's not an end-all be-all, but.
so the financial hardship is not to the lot, but to you, or the developer, right?
It's to the developer of the property, correct?
Right, so, I mean, with the variance, it goes to the property, doesn't go to, like, a personal hardship for the developer. So how do you get past that as far as the variance goes?
Sure, so the hardship here, literal enforcement of it, is the significant cost, which is at a premium due to it being a state highway, due to it being across private properties and across a wetland, to bring water service to this property. It would further impede traffic on Route 3A. It would create a nuisance to public safety traversing Route 3A during the construction, which would be several weeks long. These expenses are not personal to the applicant, but they'd be experienced by anyone attempting to make a reasonable permitted use of this locus, regardless of finances. It's a direct result of the Inland Wetlands Zoning District, as all other land criteria of this property is suitable for construction of a single-family home and suitable for construction of an on-site well. This directly relates to the location of that Inland Wetlands District, which is based on the soils mapping, which we've proven through perk tests is inaccurate at this location.
But I still don't see where you're meeting the criteria for a variance, to be honest with you. And how much money are we talking? I mean, what's the difference between,
It's in excess of $500,000 to bring water to this site.
okay? So that's what you're saying is your hardship because it's gonna cost you money? And I don't mean to be fresh, I'm just
Sure.
asking.
I mean, I just think, how does the board feel about a variance here? Before we even move any further here,
I mean, 10 house lots, $500,000, it's a ton of money, no question about it. But 10 house lots divided up between the 10 of them. Now, we really run into this problem because of the one house
$50,000 $1 million house?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's one lot. So why not drop the one lot?
Yeah, if you had eliminated the front lot, would that assist you at all?
No, it's that one right there. What is it, lot 2?
So Lot 2, at the last meeting, we discussed if I rotated Lot 2 by 90 degrees, I could get it outside the district, but it was town council's opinion that this applied to the entire property and all of the lots, regardless of whether the house was in the district or not.
Sorry, you did say that.
So,
Say that house was out of it. You'd
Bob's
have
opinion.
to disturb the wetland area to get a pipe across it. Would you be digging into that area?
you'd be digging in that area anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, you
correct?
got the culvert going in there anyways,
You've
right?
got the
Oh,
street
okay.
crossing,
Yeah.
correct?
And
So Bob, in your opinion,
They still on?
this is all in the district?
Yeah, well, the lots, he's able to, some of the lots are not, but one lot is definitely in the subdivision infrastructures and particularly close to the street.
Okay,
The roadway layout, the roadways in the district.
okay.
So, Brian, you'd asked for the temperature of the board.
Yes,
Me and Heidi, per
Oh, no.
usual, are in lockstep.
yep,
My sister
Mac.
and I.
yeah. I'm assuming Larry and, so, well,
No, it's
unless
simply
we
shade
have
of a
anything,
town line.
anything from the audience further on this?
Now, could you change the roadway to stay out of there?
No,
No.
Entrance,
there's-
you can't go down through the bottom that way?
there's no way to access the upland portion of this lot without touching the Inland Wetlands District.
That red line is the inland wetland, right?
That's correct.
There's no way to get in there, Larry.
Too tight right
Because it
down the
continues
bottom
on past where he's drawing it too. All right,
Any comments from the public?
I just asked. Anyone, public want to say anything? All right, I'm gonna move that the board close 2502A. Oh, go ahead, Greg.
Can I ask a clarification? I didn't see it on the agenda tonight, but I had originally filed for a special permit on this, and I understood the special permit was continued to tonight too, but that's not how the agenda read. That's still an open public hearing?
Yes.
That's still alive, yeah.
Okay.
Do we have all the comments back from our consulting engineer? Was it Ed? that
No,
was-
I think
Pat Brennan did the
Pat?
peer review, and he was satisfied with the exception of the comment that it needed to be connected to municipal water supply unless a variance was issued. If I could request a continuance?
Yes, I
on
would
this matter?
recommend that. So I'm going to recommend that we continue 2502A Celebrity LLC, I keep calling Celebrity. Celebrity Realty LLC off Main Street. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensley, aye.
Ryan Sullivan, aye?
Brian Murphy, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
To when, Brian?
Do you want to continue the special permit one too, because that is on the agenda
The
for.
bill?
Yeah, we might as well. Yep. We'll
Yes.
continue the special permit as well.
Is it 326, or do we have?
When do you want to do it?
Can we do 326?
Do we have-
That's a date?
What's on there? No? Okay.
It's fine, this should be fine.
That's
So
a Wednesday,
326.
right? That's the
Yep.
Wednesday
That
one?
is a Wednesday.
That's a Wednesday. Continued to 326. All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensley, aye.
Ryan Sullivan, aye?
Brian Murphy, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2515, John Griffin. The petitioner is seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-1012 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to remove the existing wraparound porch and construct a 22-foot by 7'6" side addition and a 7-foot by 30'2" front porch on the existing foundation on the property located at 17 8th Road, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel L10-1313 and is located in the R3 zoning district. Go ahead.
I'm Julie Griffin, 17 8th Road. Basically, just trying to remove a wraparound porch and extend our living room, and then rebuild the front porch, so.
Keeping the existing footprint.
Okay.
Are you
Builder,
John?
Trevor,
I'm not,
yeah.
I'm filling in for John. He wasn't able to make it. I'm Trevor Fitzgerald, her builder.
Thank you.
So it's not just as simple as putting in windows on that,
Correct.
where the screens are, you're actually gonna,
Rebuild it, yes.
Andrew, other than your notes, do you want to speak on this at all? See, there's some floodplain stuff.
No, I mean, we've been in communication through the building permit and floodplain permit. They know that there's a substantial improvement determination once they get through all this permitting, that it can't exceed 50%. All that information's available. Like I said, this would be, essentially, they're requesting this as, under the Belalta standard because, so the front porch is 7'6", right? And, so the house itself is about 11 feet, like the wall of the house is 11 feet from the property line. So the house itself, the building area of the house is non-conforming. The porch itself is also non-conforming because it goes into the setback too far. So they would be using the Belalta standard to extend this existing non-conformity to the front and fill that in. So that's, you just have to make the finding that that's not any more detrimental than the existing non-conforming structure.
Okay, thank you. Anything from the board?
Good idea.
The shed patio, or patio on the garage, what's this, the shed or patio, whatever, ask for explanation on the garage, is that,
It's just a shed in the back.
the shed, is that,
Yeah.
no, so my question is there gonna be, there's that neighbor's garage, I guess, which is like 5 feet away from the side of the house?
Right.
On whatever side that is,
Yes.
left side?
Yep.
Is that where the construction is, is that where the addition is? Because I can't actually determine exactly where the addition is on
No,
this plan.
it would be where the porch was.
Where the
rebuilt,
porch was,
yeah.
just the porch.
Yes.
Yep, just that's fine.
Not going further towards where that,
Nope, same footprint.
gotcha.
It goes closer to 8th Road. It's this section right here in the front, along the road here.
Right.
This front section of porch that they're extending underneath. This portion.
Gotcha.
Any other questions from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing that there is none. Cheat sheet. I'm going to move that we close 2515 John Griffin, 17 8th Road. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensley, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Ryan Murphy, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye.
Mike Brothers, aye.
I move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for a special permit, subject to the conditions. This project will require compliance with the floodplain bylaw, a building permit, a final as-built, and a certificate of occupancy.
Second?
Oh, I'm not, I gotta finish the rest. Based on the findings that the applicant's proposal to remove the existing wraparound porch and construct a 22-foot by 7-foot 6 side addition and a 7-foot by 30-foot 1.5 front porch on the existing foundation on the property located at 17 8th Road, as shown on a certified location plan dated February 22nd, 2024 by Stenbeck and Taylor Incorporated, Richard Savant, PLS, and in a revised architectural plan by BF Architects, Bill Furnason, Architects Incorporated, dated February 22nd, 2024, 9 pages, meets the special permit criteria of the section 1012 of the bylaw. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensley, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye.
Mike Brothers, aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Julie, will your husband be changing his email address to John Griffin Marsh now?
Yeah.
Saw that.
It's been so long for Duxbury, but we would like to, yeah.
Well, welcome to town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
So now we have
Help yourself.
2512 Leanne Stone,
I'm with you.
73 South River Street. I've already read this in.
Should read it again, Brian.
You want me to read it again? The petitioner is seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-1012 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to construct a 24-foot by 20-foot single-story addition on the rear of the dwelling on the property located at 73 South River Street, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel G080714 and is located in the R2 zoning district. Go ahead. Name and address for the record.
For the record, my name is Todd Cleveland. I'm the general contractor for Leanne and Kyle Stone at 73 South River Street.
This one, sorry.
So go ahead with the project.
Yes, what we would like to do, actually, the house is sitting right now on a non-conforming lot, as you can see by the site plan. We'd like to add an addition to the rear of the house in a conforming way. It's going to extend the rear of the house about 20 feet by 24 feet, and then come in 28 feet back into an alcove in the back of the home. Single story, about 13 feet high, ridge height. The plan is to construct it on top of diamond piers over existing septic lines.
That's it? So, Andrew, do you have anything to add to this?
I mean, no, just not, just like I said on my thing, it doesn't really, the site plan doesn't really show,
Doesn't have dimensions, right?
it doesn't show the addition on it. I think there was one that might show, that kind of is drawn in here.
There was one annotated on it, but we don't have an as-built on the site plan yet for that.
That's what I heard the only plan you have with the addition is what you had penciled in there.
Yes. We wanted, customer would like to go through the zoning process first before we go through the architectural plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you go back, Andrew?
What?
I'm recused, I'm not saying anything.
So that's what you have shown with the addition's gonna be right
Yeah,
there,
it's the
correct?
rear of the
Yeah.
house. The current home is about 550 square feet. The addition will add about 580 to it.
Yeah.
There's nothing on here, so I'll show you.
The what?
Plans that show it.
No, I know. I thought we got an updated set.
This is it, right?
Yeah. I can't read this. Andrew, is that the updated set we have? Does it have the setbacks on it?
This,
I can't read.
That's from February.
The top
this
right,
is the one from Grady Consulting. This is the most recent one, I believe. It was
Yeah, February 24th.
February 24th, 2025.
yeah, this,
So it shows the existing, but it doesn't, and it shows all the existing setbacks, but it doesn't show what's proposed.
Could you have Grady draw something up that shows what you're proposing to do? So I don't want to just
we
approve
can't
something
approve
without
this.
seeing what the setbacks are going to be.
yeah,
Just
we,
based on oral representations.
of course, we'd be more than willing to do that.
Thank you.
If you'd like.
So we'll continue this.
Trying to contain a little bit of cost, but I mean, it appears you're gonna be right in there. I don't, to me, I don't see any problem with what you wanna do, but
No,
As
the
Andrew
way,
points out,
the way the
it's not
addition's going
clean.
back, it's going further away from the property line.
yeah.
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 We did-
Just have Grady show that on a plan,
Yeah.
stamp it and submit it, come back on the 26th.
Sound good?
I don't think anyone has a problem with the project, we just wanted to see it. We want to see it.
Just need the setbacks
Okay,
on a plan.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so I'm going to move that we continue 2512 Leanne Stone, 73 South River Street to the 26th. Nancy? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Robert Hensley, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Ryan Murphy, aye.
Macklin.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
So now we have Jean and William Cook. Did I read this one in already, Nancy? 33 13th Road. Oh, this is a variance? Go ahead.
Jean Cook, 33 13th Road, Marshfield.
Bill Cook, 33 13th Road, Marshfield.
Go ahead.
We have,
Go ahead.
we have a deck on the back of our house. It's an open deck, and we propose to enclose it. We need the variance because the house was built in 1953, and the deck was added in 1999. And when the deck was added, the edge of the deck is within, it doesn't meet the setback requirement in the back of the house. So that's the reason for requesting a variance. What we would do would be just enclosing the deck. We would not be changing the dimensions of the house or the deck or making it any more non-conforming. It wouldn't move the footprint of the house or the deck any closer to the property lines.
So you're not doing any conditioning to the, you're not gonna heat it or AC or anything, you just wanna screen it in, put a roof
Just-
over it?
yeah,
So you don't
yeah.
bake out there in the
Yeah, no,
summertime?
yeah,
Right.
well, it's more the bugs.
And the bugs get you after sunset?
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Is that it?
No,
That's it.
there's no,
That it?
we wouldn't be running any electricity out there.
Yeah,
What'd you say?
Plumbing
just pretty much
Oh, this
protecting
is
you from the
all right, Okay,
Yeah.
pretty much. I was having a hard time looking at what we were trying to do.
Andrew, do we have the site plan for that again?
So what is the rear setback there to the house?
32.5. Oh, so the house, sorry.
To the house?
32 plus 32, basically.
Thanks.
It's 32 on this side, so it's currently conforming.
So if they put a roof over it, it would become non-conforming to the rear?
That's correct.
Screams Mr. Johnson.
Because it's considered lot coverage, correct?
Remember our very first meeting, Mr. Johnson?
No,
Well,
it's
That's
because
That would,
the,
it would move the house line.
Say that again?
Would it move the line of the house? If you put a roof over a deck, it moves the line of the house from the foundation wall to now the new edge of the deck.
Yeah.
To the roof.
That's actually, it's a little different than that, Mac, sorry.
Yep.
There's two standards at play. One is building area. So building area is the structure where it has walls and a roof and it's enclosed.
Yep.
And that's what's like kind of slashed here. And then you have the deck, right? Decks that are less than 4 feet off the ground can encroach halfway out into the setback, right? Which is 15 feet from the rear line. But open decks can. But decks and porches, roofed decks or anything like that can only go 2 feet into the setback. So, technically if they followed the strict letter of what's allowed under the bylaw and our dimensional standards, they could have a roofed deck for 4 feet off of their house. But they're asking for a roofed deck that's enclosed, so like an enclosed porch. So they're actually looking to extend the building area on this one. The other thing that they didn't mention, and it's important to mention
I know,
that this
but
lot
putting
is
the roof on it, it makes
3,200 square feet, and the bylaw says that all, any alterations for anything under 5,000 square feet, they need to come for a variance and a special permit.
To me, I look at this is such a minimal impact that, they're trying to use their property, enjoy their property. I can see them not being able to use that deck during the heat of the summertime. There's no trees around them. The marsh is right on the other side of their house, so I'm sure they get eaten away. To me, it's such a minimal variance that I wouldn't have a problem with them.
I consider that a hardship.
I'm sorry?
I consider that a hardship. You can't actually use the property as it's meant to be used.
But so my view, though, is that there are other ways to provide that level of shade. There's other ways to provide that protection from the insects. There's netting, there's those Florida mosquito tents that you can structure around the edge of a deck. There are more ways of doing it than building a new structure.
Yeah. It's kind of
So it's
windy
tricky
down
down
there.
there.
too.
But it-
Yeah,
I'm not sure you
it
want
doesn't
to
really
do
work.
that.
I've tried the umbrellas with the netting
Like a
and
blustering
everything
day
else.
down there, so I
We've
don't know
tried
if
the
that would be.
mosquito control sprayers too, that doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
They always seem to come, and then it rains right after they leave. So spend a lot of money for absolutely
For
nothing.
nothing.
Yeah, it's,
And in their district.
We have tried.
They're on the other side of the main road, and there's some trees and stuff over there in the same residential district. On this side, there's how many trees are in your immediate neighborhood? There's none, so they don't have any natural shade.
There's like a wind tunnel over there. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah.
My biggest concern is, I don't particularly think it matters if you put a screen porch or not on that. I think it's a good idea, but I think everyone in that district wouldn't want you to go up 2.5 stories on top of that, which you could do if we approve this.
Yeah.
So I feel like we would need a condition
Yeah.
to say that this is
This is it.
a light use screened-in porch.
yeah, I mean, we wouldn't
That's
go
over.
above the roof line,
Yeah,
probably.
and it's nothing against you guys, I'm just saying
No,
that's something that could easily come up if we don't put language in there.
Yeah.
To condition it
To condition
that
it
it's
that way,
just a
yeah.
screened in. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I would
Yeah.
be amenable to that. What about you? Where are you
Yeah,
at?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And it wouldn't expand in towards any of the property lines.
Just stay
And
in
we'd
the
only go as
footprint.
far up as the
Right.
roof line, maybe not even up that far.
Okay.
just to give-
No, I mean, I see it as a hardship myself.
Get hot back there in July?
Oh, yeah. And buggy.
Oh, yeah.
What are we doing?
You good?
I'm just trying to figure it out. So we have a variance you'll be helping me on this one. All right, so does anyone have questions on this?
We just did.
In the audience? No?
I'm good.
Yeah, all right. You're gonna have to help me speak this one. It's wordsmith this thing. All right, so I'm gonna move that
criteria.
we close 24, is this right? 24, 20,
2279.
Yeah, they started in November.
Yeah, we had one
We've been-
previous.
oh, it's 2470.
It's open.
Yeah, this has been since last year, right?
Yeah, it's been continued additional information. And
Is this the typo then?
One says 22, this one says 24.
You guys,
Oh, Andrew.
did you withdraw or did you continue?
So it's
No, they
20.
continued, right?
Continued.
Yeah.
The last time that we were here, you had suggested that we speak
Variant.
with
Yeah.
Andrew.
You did the right
Yeah.
thing.
But we
you did.
didn't have an appointment till the day after the meeting with him,
All right.
and
Oh.
then we couldn't quite
All right, so
get back.
I'm gonna move that we
Here.
close 2479 Jean and William Cook, 33 13th Road. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensley, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
All right, David, get ready to wordsmith this.
So is it
We're
a
gonna,
4 out of 5 vote?
yeah,
Yes.
4 out of 5 were unanimous.
we need 4 out of 5, but we need someone to speak the variance language, meaning David.
I think you would say I would move.
I don't have it in front of me.
I would move to grant the requested variance since the applicant has demonstrated or presented information sufficient to demonstrate an entitlement to a variance under section 10.11 of the zoning bylaws.
And adopt what he said. All in favor?
In
Hold on,
condition,
and I want to put a condition on
Sure, go
that
ahead.
this is to be used as a screened-in porch and cannot be built on top of.
No second story.
No second story, third story.
I would say that what you should probably try to condition is to say that it cannot be used as a it cannot be used as a pre-existing nonconformity that can be subject to expansion. You know what I mean? That they cannot use this as the area that's being added cannot be used as a further justification for expansion of a non-conforming structure, something to that effect.
For clarification, if they sold their house tomorrow, would that carry over
Yes.
on the plot? Okay.
Runs with the property.
You know what he's saying there, basically, if someone was to come and tear the house down, you wouldn't be able to build on that footprint.
Discuss it.
Oh.
That is always gonna,
sure,
that
yeah,
section
yeah,
is
yeah.
always pretty much gonna remain a screen.
The deck
or,
is fine, it's
yeah,
just
they
not,
couldn't come back and enclose that and turn it into year-round living space
yeah.
instead of a screened-in
I
porch.
think we have a great
So
convoluted answer
basically,
going
you
now.
can have a screened-in.
You good with that?
Okay,
Yeah, that's,
Keep it
that's,
simple.
that's what we
again,
wanted.
we're not going
We're
to be
making
eating
this
it, we're
wicked
not running any.
Yeah, we're overthinking
Yeah.
this.
So I adopt
I
what Andrew
adopt
said.
what-
Just
Everything.
right, Bob came up with that language for that. Right?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
just, David
Maybe a
just did.
second motion for the special permit as well.
Yeah, we also, yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna do the special permit second. So, all in favor of the variance language?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensley, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Now we have to do the special permit. So I move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for a special permit. Andrew, do we have any conditions here? Flood, no, whatever. I think he has to do the.
So the variance
floodplain.
and the special permit are?
There's two separate items.
Okay.
Oh,
So you'll need to
What
get
does that
a
mean if it's?
as-built, as-built, obviously a building permit, and if there's floodplain applies. Based on the finding that the applicant's proposal to construct a, can't see.
You said it would not. be a floodplain.
22.3 foot by 10-foot screen porch over the existing deck on the property located at 33 13th Road. No, I read that right,
33,
13th Road.
Yep.
Special corner, so that complies with 305, 1012, and meets the standards of that section. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensley, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
You're welcome for that messy answer. It'll look much better
It
when
will
it's
get
written.
cleaned up
It's a
on
messy
print.
problem.
Wait till you see where Heidi wordsmiths that. Now, is Dana, I thought he got continued.
Dana has requested to continue to April 22nd.
Okay. Move to continue 2510 Junior Dry, oh, you're all set, sorry. Dry Seal Trust, 605 Plymouth Ave, to when?
422?
April 22nd.
422. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Robert Hensey, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
And we already continued Celebrity. I constantly want to call that what do I call it? Celebrating? I don't know, I keep saying.
Celebrity.
Celebrity is what I keep calling it. So we already continued that, right, Andrew?
Yeah.
Nancy, anyone?
Both of them?
Yes.
They're both
Yeah.
Is
continued.
that the, oh no, wait, now we're into the discussion items that I tore the page and threw away of. Oh, Green Harbor Yacht Club, 257 Dyke Road. Discussion, adding 5 finger floats to the existing float layout, all of which will be inside the reconfiguration zone. Brian, you missed a good variance. Highly wordsmithed.
He's not talking about it.
Sorry. He'd be proud of the language thrown around.
Good evening, Kevin McCoy.
Name and address for the record, of course.
I'll get there. 4 Milton Street, Hummerock.
All right.
And with me is Paul DeFreitas.
Paul DeFreitas.
On
Edward Road.
in Marshfield, and he is the treasurer of the Green Harbor Yacht Club. And the reason we're here is because we're trying to figure out what's required within an existing approved reconfiguration zone. Excuse me, and we provided letters to Conservation and to the floodplain administrator and to you folks for assistance in directing us of what we need to file for to add additional finger floats within the zone. We received a comment letter from the floodplain administrator about 4 o'clock this afternoon that pretty clearly explained what we have to go through. And if we had gotten it any earlier, we would have asked that we be taken off the agenda. Unfortunately, there's a gap somewhere in the club's, I guess, method of communicating from the town, because we inquired within the floodplain administrator's office on February 20th and sent him an electronic copy a few days later, and we did not get a response until 4 o'clock this afternoon. So we got to try to figure out what's wrong with the communications we have at the yacht club, why we're not
So you
getting
sent it in
communication.
somewhere, and you sent it in?
I delivered the hard copies to all of the boards
Okay.
on the 20th, February 20th, and Paul emailed an electronic copy with the zip folder with the same material. And in the letter to the floodplain administrator, we asked for his assistance in how we go about getting a floodplain permit if we needed one.
Uh-huh.
But with that said, the reason that we are asking for the information on how to approach this is we have 6 reconfiguration zones on 6 different marinas. There's 4 in Marshfield, 2 in Situate. And this is the first one that we've gone forward with trying to add on to the inside of the marinas within the reconfiguration.
Who's we?
We,
When you say we have 6, who's we?
as far as me, my former boss who passed away, John Capocephalo, was New England Engineering.
Oh,
We used
okay.
to do a lot of the marinas around the area.
Gotcha.
And we're
So you're not the yacht club?
I'm a member of the yacht club, but I am not the yacht club.
Okay.
Paul's here for the yacht club.
Okay.
So we were kind of wondering the best way to approach this. We're quite clear on the process with Chapter 91, who are the ones that actually grant the reconfiguration zone. So now that Mr. Stewart has responded the way he responded, he's very clearly marked how we have to approach this. So I don't think we need to continue anything because we know the direction that we want to go, or that we have to go.
Okay.
Unless Mr. Stewart wants to change.
Andrew,
his
you
mind,
want
tell
to
us
chime in on anything?
Yeah, so I did receive the package. I received an email from them. This is my response email that's up on the screen that was sent on Monday, March 3rd at 10:31 a.m. That details that they need a floodplain permit that they need to get a special permit under 305-1302 and site plan approval, exactly what they're referring to, that they received at 4 o'clock today. I don't know how they received it at 4 o'clock today. I did not send it. I sent it over a week ago to them. So
Andrew, can I jump in?
don't appreciate saying that there's something wrong with my communication. When I sent the email in response to them, it was also CC'd to the harbor master, to the conservation administrator, the conservation agent as well.
Andrew, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Andrew, I sent it to them today as, I sent your comments to them today, just as I sent the comments to
I
Celebrity.
understand that, Nancy, I'm just saying
Okay,
that.
no, I just wanted to let you know.
I sent them that information 8 days ago, so I don't appreciate, how they represented my failure to communicate with them.
I'm not representing your failure to communicate. I mentioned that I think there's something wrong with how the yacht club receives their communication
Yeah, let me
from
just
the
speak.
town.
Paul, you want to come up? to the microphone?
Andrew, sorry, Paul Freitas again. Andrew, I just looked at who you sent those to, and both of those email addresses are incorrect. And then on those are not the correct email addresses, they're misspelled. So I can say that for sure. It doesn't say Green Harbor on there. And my email is incorrect as well. And I sent you one separate of that, Andrew, just so you know. I mean, we can fix, obviously we want to figure this out, but I sent you one specifically from my email address without any other correspondence as a follow-up, and I didn't receive a response from you as well. So I don't know where it got lost in translation, but I can tell you for sure those two email addresses are incorrect.
Okay.
So we're going to continue, is that correct?
No, we're going to
No,
withdraw.
he's gonna withdraw.
Right, because we have to file the special permit, site plan approval. But while we're here, if you could ask Andrew how we can get this floodplain permit going.
Yeah, so Andrew, thank you. So that was going to be my next question. So obviously, we would like to get moving as quickly as possible on this. So how soon could we get the floodplain permit?
I think October is what we looking at.
What?
So the floodplain permit is a process. You can apply for it as soon as you walk out the door, and you can do it on your phone. It's an online electronic permit process. What it does is you apply for it, you describe whatever development activity you are proposing in a flood zone, and then in response to that, I let you know exactly what permits you're going to need to get and what documentation you're gonna need in order to get those permits. I try to expedite the process as fast as possible for you through the Conservation Commission, through the ZBA, and whoever else you need to get permits or approvals from.
Andrew, will they need a special permit from the ZBA because they're pre-existing non-conforming and they're altering a pre-existing non-conforming structure?
No, they need a special permit because they are altering and extending a pier or walkway or other similar structure in the coastal wetlands district. You can't build any other type of structure other than like a boathouse, a pier, a walkway, those types of structures in the coastal wetlands district, and that requires a special permit.
So what they're doing is not as a matter of right for which you would have sole jurisdiction. They will need a blessing from the ZBA.
Correct. Just like they did in 2005 when they built the pier, just like they did in 2019 when they modified the pier into its current thing. Now they want to modify it by adding 5 finger floats. That's going to be another special permit. It's the same process that they've been doing for 20 years.
And we're staying obviously within the reconfiguration zone.
So because you're here tonight, rather than withdrawing and refiling, can you get?
Can I just be clear? There is no filing right now yet. They haven't filed for anything. This is a discussion item. They came in to find out what kind of permitting.
I apologize. I'm sorry.
What?
No application or anything filed?
No, nothing.
Just for discussion.
But you have a Chapter 91
Yes.
Currently, yes.
currently.
Currently.
And so, and you can reconfigure that, correct?
Yes.
Within
Yes.
10% or something? Is that, what is it?
There is.
But you have to stay in the
There is
same.
a section that you can modify it 10%, but when you attempt to do that, if it's maybe a household pier, residential pier, they might grant that, but when it's a marina or a yacht club.
It triggers.
10% seems to disappear. So that's why we have to go for what they call is an amended license. And the amended license process is exactly the same as a new license process. You have to go through all the steps. Which means that when we originally went in, we had to go to you folks, and we had to go to conservation, so we got to repeat those steps. But we were kind of hoping, because we weren't putting anything in the ground, all we're doing is floating some floats
Right.
inside the reconfiguration zone, and we wouldn't have to go through those steps. As I mentioned, we have these zones in other marinas and yacht clubs, and we have not had to go in for any modifications. So this is the first step in that process.
Are you familiar with what Mr. DeMayo was looking for, the harbor master?
Yes, in fact, I met with Mr. DeMayo, and we understood exactly what he wants, and we will provide that information for him.
Great.
But again, the letters went out just as trying to get some information on how we should proceed. We were kind of hoping that we wouldn't have to go through this process with the board, because they are floats, they're in Commonwealth tidelands, and we're not attaching anything to the ground. But that's not the case.
And so that's not the
I-
case because that's been determined by Andrew or
Yes, by Andrew.
Okay.
Yeah, by Andrew. And also, in some extent, by the permit. He pointed out also in here that it said any modifications will have to go before the board for approval. So his interpretation of that is going for the special permit. And I believe also site plan approval.
That's correct. And just, the thing that should also be specifically addressed, the original special permit limited the amount of moorings to 46 boats.
46.
So, that's, if that's gonna increase, that's, a use, a change of,
Yeah.
or an enlargement of the use.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why it's gotta get, approval from the CDA.
So we didn't see so much as an increase in the number of boats. As you know, we previously, unbeknownst to us, had these other finger piers in there.
Right.
But we had to remove them. And
Right.
and that was, like I said, that was before our time. And so
You
we,
get 20
we,
plus years out of it, so.
but we did right away, we made
Only
sure.
15, I thought it was 20.
Yeah. So, of course, when that was brought up to us, we complied and removed them right away. And now
Did
that's
you
why-
lose eight total boat slips? Or just 4 fingers, right?
It's 5 finger piers.
So did you lose 10 boats?
We won't exceed 46 with the
Yeah.
new fingers.
No, I'm saying on the ones that you lost, was
10
that
boats?
10 boats?
So
On
at least
5?
six. At least six.
Yeah.
Those lucky members.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
I remember with one of the, I don't know if this is the right time, but when the neighbor was trying to put in a dock there was a choke point there that was an issue with boats coming and going. Is this gonna expand into that area? Is it gonna alleviate some of that problem?
That was already in existence. See, when he brought forward what he wanted to do, that's when we were told we had to remove those. Because
Sure, I remember
we
that.
didn't know that was
That
the
was
case.
prior to you guys being involved.
Correct.
Yeah.
It won't infringe, it's no different. There's dockage out to that point already. So
Right.
adding to
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
which is our plan, doesn't change the depth.
So I'm looking at this, you guys pretty much wanna just clean this up.
Yeah, and kind of
Clean it
put
up,
back
clean it
where
up,
we,
legitimize
put
what
the
you're
ones
doing,
back
yeah.
that we had, because
Yeah.
we literally,
And you can basically see where they're going, they're in red up there. And 2 of them provide, the one that where the arrow just was, bottom left. That's for the dinghies, because apparently the yacht club has boat members that have boats up the channel.
the channel, so they put the
So they
dinghies
put their
there to
dinghies
get
there.
to it.
And then the one the furthest away at the bottom right is for the sailing program. It's a 6-foot wide by 20-foot long finger float. And that's for the folks that are, the kids that are going out the boats to store their gear on that float. And then the 4 sailboats can tie up to belly up both of them are side by side.
That's the one,
for
the far,
for
the one
kids.
far right
Right,
corner.
on the bottom. That's at the
Bottom right.
mouth of the reconfiguration.
Out- down at the
Get out
end.
Into the river.
Down at the end.
Yes,
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So those are the exact locations of the ones you took out?
exactly.
When do you think you'll have your ducks in a row?
I mean,
If Andrew would change his mind, we can get him in the row right now. No?
We got town meeting coming up too, so we,
Yeah,
Does that
it
affect,
will be a while, because in the letter that Mr. DeMayo sent, he wants that, we got to do a complete survey out there, and they did re-dredge the channel, and we have to get the coordinates that we have on that plan, the old 1927 coordinates, everything's been brought up until 1988 coordinates, so we got to adjust those coordinates to show Mr. DeMayo that we're at least 18 feet back from that channel, because that's a requirement from a federal channel that you got to be 3 times the depth of what they dredge. And the channel depth is 6 feet, so we got to be 18 feet back. So that's going to be a little bit of a process. We got to do that.
sounds like you got a little work ahead of you.
Yeah, we got a little work.
Open season's coming.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You guys should be ready for the 2027 season, ready to fire up.
Brian, they just have to submit a special permit application with Nancy. They pretty much have all the documentation they need with the site plan here.
Oh, okay.
And the negative and everything.
And hopefully
you know.
we'll be seeing you soon. All right?
Just have to submit the application for special permit and site plan approval.
And get the floodplain permit from you as well, Andrew, correct?
It's online, just go to the building department website and our online permitting system.
I'll do that
And,
tomorrow.
it's all online right there.
All right.
Thank you.
Anytime anything's done in the flood zone, just start right there.
Well, thank you, guys.
Are we
Thanks.
all
Good
set,
luck.
Andrew, are we all set as far as we weren't saying that you were not responding to us? It was just.
Yeah, I appreciate
Yeah.
the clarification. I
Yeah.
apologize for getting upset there.
No worries.
I had every intention of you receiving that email 8 days ago, that's for sure. And I'll talk to my counterparts about letting me know that I've got the wrong email address in the future, especially when they're all CC'd to it, so appreciate that.
No, no worries at all. Thank you.
Thank you very
guys.
much. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Have a good week. All right,
Bye,
Ed,
guys.
so, Ed,
Yeah,
Is it it?
right. We have to, when do we want to come back?
Yeah, they have to do the paperwork, we have to do the paperwork. Say what?
Are you doing Matlin
All
now?
online,
What's
right?
that?
You're doing Matlin?
Should we still be meeting?
oh, yeah.
On the water
Sean.
thing?
Well, yeah, do you want to do
Yeah, I'm gonna
the-
roll.
Okay, all right.
You guys-
See you, thank
See
you.
you,
Grover.
Grover.
Ed, go ahead.
Talking to me, Brian?
Yes.
Just making sure?
Yes,
So patient, Ed.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
how are you?
stranger danger. Are you gonna
Doing
read
well.
Paul's memo? Is he reading Paul's
Brian, you'll
memo?
see in your email that I just sent comments,
What?
the marked up comments from our meeting Friday, all the different
Yes.
slide edits that we want to make
Yep.
for the Apex environmental
Right.
slide deck. And I just want Pat to look at that one more time to make sure I didn't miss anything, and then I'll send that off to Mark Kaufman.
Okay, sounds
But
good.
for everybody's update, for the record, Ed Pesci from Pesci Engineering, consultant to the board, and this is in regards to the bridle path, the bridle crossing project. We actually did some additional, requested some work to be done by the company that developed the groundwater model from this past May, and had done the, yes, thank you, Andrew. I was just going to do that, but you took care of it. If you go to the last page, which shows the map, with Pat Brennan's help, we prepared, yep, just keep going a little bit. I think that's good. Right there. We looked at the middle of the site, of course, is the bridle crossing project, the yellow rectangle. And then we looked at 2 other polygons that represented, there was discussion, as you remember, in the spring, that wastewater from our project site, from the proposed bridle crossing project site, could impact the water quality of the wells, for specifically PFAS was the concern. Initially, nitrate was the concern, and that was later, removed as a concern because of additional work that was done. But long story short, we wanted to make sure we looked at this. My whole concern, everybody, was that if we have a problem, if they're modeling a problem from wastewater from our project, well, wouldn't wastewater from the existing homes that are closer already have created a problem? I didn't quite understand that, and that's what I had said to you all in public forum, in testimony, saying, the existing homes that are closer to the well, have been there for years, are much greater than 88 bedrooms total flow. And they are not currently causing a water quality problem in the Ferry Street wells. But that was just me talking off of some assumptions I made as an engineer, and we felt like, well, why don't we take that groundwater model and use that groundwater model to demonstrate that, to check that assumption. So this past couple of months, we've gotten permission, and indeed the town has paid for environmental partners groups, now known as Apex Environmental or Apex companies, to run a groundwater model looking at these two areas. So what we did was we looked at the Silver Pines area and the Marshfield Way area, figured out how many bedrooms there were, figure out what the sizes of those areas were, came up with the center of mass, centroid of that. And what you're seeing there is that the centroid distance to the Ferry Street #1 well is 103 feet for Silver Pines and 1925 for Marshfield Way. So we gave that information to the modeler, and he put that together in a groundwater model using the same groundwater model that they had prepared in April and May, and ran some scenarios to show us that the Silver Pines area is predicted in the way the model was developed to have contaminated or to be shown up above the safe drinking water level of 4 nanograms per liter at the Ferry Street well much sooner than the Bridle Crossing property would, and sooner than the Marshfield Way property would. Well, primarily because Silver Pines is slightly denser, but it did show that it would happen in 1,190 days, 3.26 years. And in a nutshell, my description, the prior description in the narrative, 2 pages narrative up ahead of you, if you go up to that, Andrew, I'll just walk through that. Page 1 describes, yes sir, thank you for zooming in a little bit. Page 1 describes what we were doing and why, what had been done before in spring of 2004, how we predicted or prepared the modeling, polygons and what was done inside them. And that table there is the actual data we provided the groundwater modeler to enter into his model. So as you can see, Bridle Crossing is 88 bedrooms. Silver Pines is in excess of almost 3 times that, 234 bedrooms. And that was a conservative assumption based on 3 bedrooms per single-family dwelling or 2-family dwelling. It'll be for each household, if you will. And of course, Marshfield is a little bit less, but still greater than Bridle Crossing. So we gave them that information. We said, let's simplify that and try to model it as coming from those 2 distances, 1903 and 1925, and right in the center, the centroid distance of that table, and do that model. So they performed a groundwater modeling analysis, and so the results are these several bullets. So I wanted to just tell you what my opinion was somewhat, and also give you the results. So the first bullet says the original modeling results indicated the PFAS at 4 nanograms per liter, that's parts per trillion, in case you're counting, which is the new EPA maximum contaminant level for several of the PFAS compounds, from Bridle Crossing would reach the Ferry Street well in about 1,450 days, or 3.97 years, call it 4 years. So that was the original modeling effort that they did in May. Scan down to the second bullet, if you would, Andrew. Next two, thank you. The supplemental model, they called it, this was the title of this effort is called Supplemental Screening Level Modeling Analysis. It's a screening level because there was some very conservative assumptions that were made, and I'll describe that, discuss that in a moment. The second bullet indicates a supplemental model that PFAS at the 4 nanogram per liter concentration from silver pines would reach the Ferry Street well in about 3.26 years, a little sooner. Okay, a little bigger flow, a little closer location, makes some sense, doesn't it? Okay, so far I'm following. Go to bullet number 3. The current testing shows, however, that there's no contamination in the Ferry Street well. Since PFAS has been around for 60 plus years, it should have already been detected in that well if this were a problem. And by the way, that supplemental modeling analysis showed that the flow, the wastewater flow, following the same assumptions from the Marshfield waste site would never exceed 4 nanograms per liter. So it wasn't even considered a problem in the area. But again, that's from some conservative assumptions. But bullet number 4 reads, this latest modeling effort reinforces the position that the modeling assumptions were very worst case scenarios that are perhaps not in keeping with actual, well, certainly are not in keeping with actual environmental conditions. In other words, they, give you an example, they, instead of the groundwater flowing easterly, which is based on existing documentation, they showed it as a worst case going northerly directly towards the well, which is not the actual condition, but it was a worst case screening level modeling analysis. And that the Bridle Crossing project does not represent, I guess this is more important, as one of my conclusions. So it's that the worst case scenarios that were not in keeping with actual environmental conditions, and therefore the Bridle Crossing project does not represent a more harmful risk to pump water supply, again, than the existing larger properties. Finally, we found out that DPW is installing some new groundwater monitoring wells, and the installation of additional groundwater monitoring wells that are currently in progress, and the future sampling of them will provide additional early warnings of any PFAS contaminants heading to the Ferry and Church Street well. So I want the public to have some comfort and confidence that in spite of all this worst case information not really generating a good, valid result, it still generated some need by the town to install some groundwater monitoring wells to help improve the modeling understanding, the groundwater flow direction understanding in that area, and also act as early warning testing locations. So the final Apex report is due soon. You know, we'll hopefully get that in another week or so, and then when it's available, I'll take a look at that, and I'll sit around and do some thinking about that with Pat Brennan and come up with some more comments for you all to update. So that's in a nutshell what I wanted to describe to all of you today. It's really been a long, several month effort, really spearheaded by Brian Murphy to try to make sure we could use that model that was generated last fall, paid for by the town of Marshfield, to use that model to help run 2 more scenarios to give everyone in the town a better understanding of what is really going on and what that model really, worst case scenario, was not totally realistic, and that it shouldn't, concern the general public about this. I really feel strongly about that the project is not going to act in a negative way towards the public health and public water supply. I note that DEP's letter to the town back in August also did not represent, the project did not represent any risk to public health or the public water supply. It did mention a number of things, thank you, Andrew, a number of things that the proponent what they would recommend that they do or that they would need to do, such as file an NPDES, National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit for stormwater. Perhaps look at the UIC regulations and take a look at infiltration structures if they apply to that, and so on. So again, the select board may want to still have a public meeting and invite a water quality official or drinking water official from DEP to help answer questions from the general public, but at least I wanted you to know that some additional work was done by your ZBA team, and that with the support of the Department of Public Works, the Board of Public Works, to try to get this, understanding a little bit better. And it validates our initial discussion in May that the conditions under which the model was developed were extremely worst case and not completely realistic at all of the existing condition, the existing environmental condition. And indeed, the Silver Pines and Marsh Hawk Way areas are not, even though one was predicted to create a problem or detection level at above the maximum contaminant level, a detectable level. It is not happening at that well. Although I will say, and I should put a caveat in that the modeler did make that distinction that there were some things at the well that they did not include. In other words, capture of clean water, if you will, around 360 degrees around the well. That, again, the model used a worst case assumption that that was not happening. It was all coming from the flow direction from the south. So it's a unrealistic worst case, but it did give people concern. It made people worried. It made people very concerned, and then in realistically unnecessarily. So we wanted to at least get that clear, get that word out in public forum. Maybe this will get put on tape and people can discuss it at a later date as well. So, subject to your questions, that's really all I had.
Well, I would just say, Ed, obviously, it's now March. We started this last March. We were initially promised what you're looking at in front of us. From the meetings we started, we ran out of time. But what was presented in my eyes was 50% of what should have been shown. So you showed half of a puzzle that scared people. And that sent, 700 or 800 people into a meeting to vote to write that letter that you just presented from DEP. And, I would just say, Mark Kaufman, who worked on this, is the hydrogeologist, very intelligent man. He said that using the word conservative, he should have used the term worst case scenario. It probably would have been more clear. And, just this whole project, having all our engineers, all the professionals that looked at this. And then, of course, we have our own professional in the town of Marshfield. I guess if you photograph water, that makes you a water expert. Certainly that person is out there telling people that this water is PFAS contaminated, which it is 100% not. And this goes back years to show there's no contamination. It would be at that wellhead now if we knew about it. But yeah, there's a lot of misinformation out there because 50% of the study was done that showed this worst case scenario that this could happen with a severe drought conditions that won't happen. And with the belief that this water has always gone easterly, which is what is believed all the way back through the 70s. There is nothing to prove that this water goes near that wellhead. We've never had a drought condition that would bring it there. And from the understanding of where that was located, it's filled by the Carolina Hill, which is not developed. So you get all that clean water that comes down from there, and that's basically what fills Ferry 1, Ferry 2, and Church 1. So, essentially we don't have, hopefully this will put those 800 people that went to that meeting that were scared, give them some relief and, but I spoke to the select board. I definitely want to have a water meeting that we discuss the quality of the water in Marshfield and how this especially, these are the cleanest wells we have, is very safe.
So I have a question. So if, Brian, you requested this information in what, August?
Over a year. No,
Okay.
and I was told I would have it last March. We're literally a year to the date.
There's
that I was
an email or a
promised
letter, November 22nd, asking to reconsider. So I'm just confused. It cost the town $142,000 to find out that it looks like that this project, which was a 40B, was targeted. So I said I had a problem with it from the beginning. I still have a problem with it, and it makes me, very upset because it fueled a lawsuit that part of the Board of Public Works helped fund. So my problem is that we have to be able to trust the other town boards that we work with. We hire you guys to do what you need to do and give us the best case scenario, give us the worst case scenario, and guide us in the direction that we should. They were coming after your reputation, Pat's reputation, and I have a problem with that. And I think that the town needs to understand this was fraudulent. And I don't mind saying it because it was, and they were targeted. And if they really wanted the real information, they would have gotten samples, new samples, to get anything that they needed in order to find out all the information for that area, and not just one specific place.
Or they would have modeled reality.
Yes, and I'm sorry, but, and if there was a PFAS issue and they're concerned about it, they should already have something in the works to help that situation, as other towns do. So I'm extremely disappointed that this took this long with Brian pounding the pavement to try to get an answer, and emails from the Board of Public Works and our town engineer to try to get it stopped. I have a major issue with that. And I'm disappointed that you had to continue with this and that Brian had to continue doing this in order just to get the truth, because we are here, when somebody comes with the 40B, we don't like the regulations of a 40B, but we have to do the best we can, and we rely on the professionals to give us their opinion and their professional opinion on what we need to be doing. And I appreciate the time and effort that you put into this, and Pat and everybody else on the team, and that this is what we came up with, that it was just false information. And I just find it extremely disturbing, and it's unfair to the people, the town of Marshfield. It really is.
And thank you for your help and for your time and for your professionalism.
I mean, it's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, everyone. I guess the point of all this is that the model that they created was used as a screening tool or early warning tool or whatever you want to call it, but it did target our Brattle Crossing project
100%.
unfairly and did not provide some realistic answers, and it unfortunately inflamed the public concerns unnecessarily.
Yeah, I mean, we would want to know if there's something wrong with the water, of course.
Right. It certainly informs, it certainly did some things to help with the understanding of that Little Creek aquifer, and gathering more information and gathering data to describe things and to analyze things always helps. But they certainly did pay a lot of money for it, and to me, the only positive aspect of this, or the major positive aspect of this, is that it generated the need to drill some more wells, help understand what's going on there better, because typically what you would do is develop a groundwater model, go out and sample some things in existing wells, take that data back, calibrate the model and run it again, and gives you a better realistic understanding. They didn't do any of that. They didn't have time for that or a budget for that. So they made some worst case assumptions, worst case scenarios were used. They did admit some of that, but unfortunately they really made some, I think, false recommendations or not well-founded recommendations because the worst case assumptions were used. And so, they were taken erroneously by the general public as a real problem by, that the Brattle Crossing project represented, as evidenced by the 750, 800 people that were at that town meeting.
No,
special
it
town
just,
meeting. So-
yeah, it put fear in people, which was completely unnecessary. I mean, I would be in fear if the water by me there was an issue with it, of course. We totally understand that, and we appreciate the fact that they all came out to try to find out what was happening. And it's unfortunate that this is how it played out. And I just find it deceitful. I'm sorry.
I mean, still is a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of people peddling the misinformation from that study about the
Yeah.
PFAS.
Well, no,
But
no.
now we have the accurate study in place.
Not on Facebook.
Well, we have a study showing, okay, the study showed, the previous study showed what bridal crossing might do. And now we've got two existing neighborhoods that have been there for years showing what might do. And that's not happening either.
And I would also say, Ed, I mean, look at the small samples we took, look at the surrounding area, all those homes. You know, and we have Spyglass, which is double the size of the 40B.
Right.
That is literally double the size of that has been draining into there for all those years. And there's the fear of the traffic. Spyglass is twice the size of this project and has been in existence for over 10 years. It has not caused traffic. It's people take these trip counts and that, professionals break it down and show you what it is. And I got to be honest, that guy Dirk there from the, Jeffrey Dirk from the traffic count company, what he said to us was really the most realistic when he said, this is like throwing a 5-gallon bucket of water in the ocean. So, I mean, he broke the traffic down that way.
Yeah, from Vanessa and Associates, so.
Well, look at all the homes around there that currently travel on this. And that's just that one little area that goes all the way down to the beach. You get all the people from Hummerock in the summer. It's a massive amount of traffic that drives on those roads. And that 88-bedroom,
Was going to push it over the edge. I
Yeah.
mean, seriously.
it's crazy.
You know, 40Bs are hard enough to do when they come into the town, and we have to deal with them and all the regulations and permits and what have you. They're difficult enough because, you know, people don't like them. But this was completely unnecessary. It put a lot of undue stress on people, and I just, you know, people need to be smarter about where they get their information.
Well, I'm with
Also,
you.
just to give the board an update,
Oh, on the yeah.
on a different but related matter, Bridal Crossing has been ordered to stop work until they get their permits in order. They had started some initial site activities, clearing some trees and some debris and waste, which, you know, makes the site look better, but they were under the false impression that they had a MIPA certificate that was active and that they were able to proceed with their conservation and management permit from Natural Heritage, which is not 100% done. So they went and filed a MIPA certificate, an E&F with the MIPA unit at the state, and dated yesterday, today I received the certificate, MIPA certificate, dated March 10th.
We still have the ADU.
In the last sentence, the conclusion is this E&F, the environmental notification form, that's what that is, when you file for an application for this, has adequately described and analyzed the project and its alternatives and assessed its potential environmental impacts and mitigation measures. Based on the review of the E&F and its comments received on it, and in consultation with the agencies, I determined that an EIR, environmental impact report, is not necessary. So there are two letters. The two most important letters are the DEP comment letter and the Natural Heritage or Division of Fisheries and Wildlife letter. Fisheries and Fish and Wildlife said that they're very close, that they believe that the project will adequately meet, anticipates the project should be able to meet the performance standards for conservation and management permit. So now that they've got a MIPA certificate, they can achieve that, they can get that. That requires some things for them to be done. There's some habitat restoration, there's a turtle management plan in some area that has to be put in conservation restriction, all of which the board already knows, that the applicant already represented that they were doing. So that's been done. And the MIPA certificate mentioned a number of recommendations that were already in the August letter that DEP put together. But a number of recommendations and comments that are not new items either. So, I think once they get their conservation and management permit, and I go through some of these things with them, they could return to work.
So Ed, the eastern box turtle that was, on the, when this project originally started back in whenever, 2000, whatever,
Yeah,
that was a what is the status of that species now?
So the eastern box turtle today, according to the letter dated from the Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, the MESA unit, on March 3rd, 2025, the eastern box turtle is, the state status is a species of special concern. So it's not threatened or endangered anymore. It's now listed as a species of special concern, which is the lowest level, I believe. Might be one lower below that. But I believe that's the lowest level for action under MESA.
And that status has changed over the years from the initial.
Yes, it certainly has. I remember it being threatened before, so.
So that's why this permit actually is going to be less restrictive than the original permit.
Yeah, I think there's some things that we're gonna have to do anyway.
Right.
The internal management plan, they would always have to do, so they don't damage, construction traffic does not accidentally, damage habitat or, hit, strike, or hurt an animal. So there's some things that they do for training and for pre-screening, walking the site, and putting up silt fence to prevent, turtles from walking into an active construction zone, so there's some
Turtle
things that
hurdles.
they have done already, they put the
Yeah, they
turtle fence
did the
up.
sweeps, yeah.
And they did it, they had their wildlife consultant do a sweep, for 2 days and check the area, yep, so, that's been done, but again, they didn't have that final piece of paper from MESA, so they're in the process of getting that now.
So Ed, when we did the pre-construction meeting, Andrew was there, there was, Nancy, when was that?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
So they had said 6 weeks from there, they had done a little work, and then they stopped and they realized they didn't have the stuff. So they've done nothing since then, right? They've been waiting?
Correct.
Okay, so
Correct.
it's not a new thing, it's an old thing that was already been discussed, that they stopped right away, and we had our
Correct.
pre-construction meeting, and they were waiting for their stuff, correct?
Exactly.
All right, I just wanted to clarify that there's been no new issues there.
No.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sounds good.
And
Any other?
on the plus side, I was at the Mill Creek site last Friday, and that site is starting to look like something. They're getting down to the final couple of buildings to install, to construct. There's an awful lot of work that's been done on the site. They're putting up some erosion controls that we've asked them to do. They did have some erosion issues over the winter in January specifically, but January 1st of all things, I was on the phone with the project leader, site superintendent. But things are looking good. Their wastewater treatment plant, all their tankage is in the ground, all the stormwater infrastructure, 1 or 2 structures left. Small leaching structures is in, all their sewer lines are in, and virtually 50% of the site has, I guess I'd say 2/3 of the site has binder pavement down, so it's really starting to look good. There's a couple of buildings, a couple of the condo, townhouse style buildings and the clubhouse building that are going to be near completion in the next 2 months. So it's starting to really get there.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you for the
Thanks,
update.
Ed.
Anybody have anything else?
Is that it?
Yes, sir. That's it.
From everybody?
Move to adjourn?
No, we need the ADUs is the next on the item line. Thank you, Ed.
I thought I was going home tonight.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, Ed, nice to see you.
Thanks.
In here.
Andrew, do you want to update us on the ADU stuff?
Yeah, hang on a second here.
So you were on one of the meetings today, right?
I attended a webinar from the, with the state They're presenting a model bylaw for municipalities to use for their, compliance with the ADU bylaw and also to, address some special permit concerns and stuff like that. Let me just bring this up. This is the planning board's proposed amendments to the, it basically would reserve the residential accessory apartment bylaw section and eliminate all that residential accessory apartment. It would create a new section in section 12, Article 305-12.07. That would be protected accessory dwelling units. And so it essentially is a bylaw that just defines what a protected accessory dwelling unit is. It is a by right accessory use in any zoning district that permits a single family dwelling by right or by special permit. A protected accessory dwelling unit is one that is either 900 square feet or half the gross floor area of the existing principal dwelling, whichever is smaller. They can be detached from the house. They can be attached to the house. You can allow one by right on a property. If you want to add more, we have to create a special permit process. If we want to have ADUs that are larger than 900 square feet, we have to create a special permit process. So that's not what this bylaw does. This bylaw doesn't address this. It only addresses the protected use ADUs. Basically says what they've got to do. They've got to go get a building permit. And, it says that it's got to go to the Board of Health and Concom, if applicable. It says what kind of information I need as far as plans in order to determine whether or not it's allowed by right. It says that it's got to comply with Title V, wetlands, all that, minimum of one parking space. What else? So it says a single family lot of dwelling proposing a protected use ADU shall meet the minimum yard setback, maximum building height, maximum building area, and minimum open space requirements for the district in which it's located. Same for a detached one. Let's see. Some of this stuff is what's already in our residential accessory apartment bylaw, like it's got to have maintain the appearance of the building so that it remains that of a single family dwelling. They will not be considered two family dwellings. Let's see. And then, let's see, what else? I think that's it.
So Andrew, on today's updates on the things that I know we went over at some of these meetings, did they got into the pre-existing non-conforming buildings or status?
Yeah, so that's something that should be, so this is the model. Oops. Let me bring it up real quick.
While you're bringing it up, they're saying we're going to leave the existing accessory dwelling unit bylaw in place and
No,
add.
they're just gonna reserve the section, so they're not gonna
okay.
eliminate the section. If they did, it would change all the numbering for everything, but they're gonna
Gotcha.
reserve it for future use, just delete all the language within it.
Okay.
Yep. So this is so the state just put this out today, actually, on their website, mass.gov/ADU. They have the model zoning that they're putting out for this. So a couple things that are important that I'm not necessarily sure if the current version of what we put out for town meeting complies with some of these things. We had a meeting recently where we discussed whether or not, you know, let's say if they had a garage that they wanted to convert to an ADU, and that garage was 8 feet from the property line, you know, what the state says is that we cannot require them to get a special permit to change the use from a garage to an ADU. That it just has to comply with the building code. Now, if they wanted to add a second story to that non-conforming structure, then they would need to get a special permit for the alteration and extension of the non-conforming structure. But if they just wanted to change the interior environment of that structure from a garage to an ADU and it met all of the state requirements, then they could do that without going to the ZBA for a special permit. They could just come and get a building permit from me to do that.
So it doesn't kick in until they want to put a second floor or something on it?
Until they work outside the superstructure.
Okay.
If they wanted to alter the building area or the volume or height of that
Right.
structure, if they wanted to alter and extend the non-conforming structure, then yes. But as far as the use goes, right, an ADU, if it meets the state standards, is now considered a protected use, a by right use. It's an allowed use, right? And so the use of a garage is also an allowed use, and it's an allowed accessory use, right? So we're changing from one allowed use to another allowed use now. So it's not a change of use that would require a special permit because it's it's all conforming, right? It's just the structure. So in that regard, that is something that's going to be new to people, and a little unsettling.
Well, we're gonna have to clean up our bylaw too. We're the one that's currently heading to town meeting, right?
Is Greg?
I don't know.
Greg would
This
do
one
that?
looks different now than what I had seen. I remember I thought that they had said something about a special permit that
Oh, maybe
Bob and
Greg got it out of
Greg had
there.
added some language about the special permit. Maybe they eliminated it. Oh, no, right here, this is it. Any existing detached accessory building proposed to house a protected accessory dwelling unit that does not meet existing density and dimensional requirements may not be converted to a PADU without a special permit issued by the ZBA. Now, that's what is going to town meeting, right?
Right,
But
that language could,
That's contrary to the law.
right.
But that just came out today,
That's
so,
right.
did Greg see this?
I don't know if he was at the meeting.
Did Greg
Yeah,
see this model?
I
This was
forwarded them
submitted in February.
The webinar to come to it today. I also brought this up at our last meeting, right, Brian?
Yes, you did.
And I was kind of shut down at that meeting.
Well, it kind of
And
looks,
so,
the state language kind of lines up with the original proposals you had.
Okay,
What I would
so
say.
if we can't change it, it's too late to change it for the
No,
town
you have
meeting?
to change it on the floor.
Okay.
we'll have to propose an amendment or something like that.
But it's got to come out because it's illegal.
But it's too late to change it now,
I don't think they can change the language.
of what Greg wrote, I'm saying.
Hey, it's already been submitted.
Oh, here it is, non-conformance. It says right here, non-conformance, don't prevent an ADU that is non-conforming to zoning from qualifying as a protected use ADU if it otherwise meets the definition. Don't require a special permit for development of a protected use ADU where the lot or structure is non-conforming. And we're supposed to treat it with, like the Dover Amendment, when you're dealing with a non-conforming structure being used as a protected ADU. It's considered a protected use under the Dover Amendment, so.
Pretty good.
That's why I think we've got to make sure that gets addressed properly at town meeting.
I'd
We've
like
got
to see
to
what Greg has to say.
propose an amendment to that. or somebody does.
Yeah, my experience, Andrew, watching the planning board is that they're trying to rein in what they anticipate will be a flood of ADU applications and hoping to slow things down by requiring more regulation. But really, the intent of the law is to make this a matter of right so that more of these units get built to hopefully address the current housing crisis in Massachusetts.
I mean, that was the original intent.
Yeah, they're trying to just stimulate the development of these.
From the numbers they use, we are short 220,000 housing units in the state currently.
Wow.
It's a pretty big number.
I heard a statistic this past weekend that residents of eastern Massachusetts, that 3/4 of the residents of eastern Massachusetts would not be able to get a mortgage to buy their house at the house's current market rate.
It's true.
You bought your house for $200,000, it's now worth $750,000. You couldn't get a mortgage to buy your own house.
Pretty crazy. Scary. Well, thank you for the
On that
update,
fun
Andrew.
note.
Thank you for all the work you put into
Scary.
this.
Thank you, Andrew.
Is that
Thank you
it?
for everything, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you. Great
It's
night.
been pretty interesting,
Do you have
it's been
anything,
pretty
Ed?
interesting to be involved with all this ADU stuff and see how it's been developing over the last couple of months.
Love how you're digging in on it.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else, Nance? All right. So I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Ryan Murphy, aye.
Heidi Go, yeah.
Act Brothers, aye.
Then I just want to do a quick work. It's like a